Hello, this is Jason with LMGI, continuing SolidEdge fundamentals. I'm going to start with a new empty part, and we're going to be working on page 940 in the fundamentals book. We're going to make our first solid model. I'm going to go right for the extrude command because I want it to be solid. You don't have to start with sketch. You can draw your profile right within the command. Coincident plane will be fine. I'm going to use my rectangle command. Quite fond of it. So let's see, 70 by 45. And then we have a 38 by 25. So we'll say 25. And then we have a couple little slots. I probably could just rough these in and now do a little trimming. There's a number of ways that you could model this. This is just the way that I did it. I'm going to use my horizontal vertical to create an alignment where needed. Equals would probably make sense between these two and these two. We've got a width. Actually, that's already been, that should have been applied here. I trimmed it away based, if I had done my rectangle in a different order, like from the center down instead of the center up, probably could have retained that dimension. Not a big deal. I think if you experiment with it, you'll see what I'm talking about. Let's see, we'll place, this should be 5, and this should be 5. This should be 13. That looks pretty good. And then we'll make some things equal. And horizontal. That looks pretty good. I think I need a couple more dimensions here, but that's good enough. We'll go ahead and finish this, and it looks like the thickness should be, what, 65. So after you give it an extent, you still need to select which side the extent is on. We're going to cover these extents in a little bit more detail as we go. I'll give this a name and hit the final finish. Then they're going to have you go into a cutout and drawing probably on this end face. Now be mindful of your plane orientation. You can use the N key to cycle through, or the B key. The tips are down in the prompt. So I want to draw on this side 10 and 35. I'm just going to eyeball this and go to the corner. And I'm going to do a distance between. I think that's how they dimensioned it. Kind of an odd. So this is an open profile. So the first thing you'll need to choose is the side that the material is removed on. This is not the extent, this is the side step. And then for the extent, you wouldn't want to do just some finite number. You'd want to use your extent options, because this is ordered modeling. This is a more intelligent way to say through all, cut the entire part in that direction, and then finish. I'm going to stay right in the cut command. Notice how it's still waiting for me to maybe do a new cut command, and I'll choose last plane because it's fast. And it looks like we need 40 minutes to the corner, so I'm going to come down, brush over my little corner here to get my alignment indicator. I'm going to close that up, and 40 is the dimension they want. Again, close out of the profile environment, sidestep again. It's remembered the last time I did this was through all, so I'm just going to click and right click to finish, and I'm done with that feature, and I can go on to the last cut, and again I'll use last plane. Looks like we've got, I'm just going to eyeball this. Looks like we've got a line and then an arc, so I'm going to use the A on the keyboard and come up and place that. It's kind of an odd technique that they've used here, but looks like they've drawn a little line here, and this can be a construction line. So that's going to drive the center of our arc, which is a little odd, but I'll do it. So this should be 35. This should be 19. 30. Let's see. Actually, that should be, we'll do a distance between. So this is probably because this is coming out blue, and it's probably because of this perpendicular relationship. Let's see if that is true. We're going to click back onto this dimension, try to push the padlock in, and that does work. So that was constraining. When I first saw that, I thought it was square. So that's going to be 30. And then the dimension off from the face should be 3. So that looks pretty good. It's not constrained at the top here. I think if you wanted to constrain this, you could click the endpoint in the top, and that's enough. And you could even do this endpoint, though it's not required. The software will extend that profile. It's going to ignore that dashed line and just treat this as a cutout, just like we did before. So next we're going to add just a little protrusion of 35 millimeters and a 19 millimeter hole. Okay, so we're going to add an extrude. We'll choose this face. Be mindful of your plane. If you have to use your keyboard to change that, you can. I'm going to go right to the center, and this is 35, and the extent this time, I guess we could use through all, but you could also through next. We'll make it stop at the next thing that it hits, and from to will let you pick a from and then a to face that may be elsewhere in the model. And you notice you get a double arrow with the through all and through next. The if you go slowly, you'll see it switch to a, so it's like through next in both directions or through all in both directions. And then we just need a hole of 19. And I don't know how deep that needs to be, 30. So there's our little moving vice jaw. Hit escape, right click, apply my material, aluminum, probably not a good material for a vice jaw. That looks pretty good.